In 1872, a broke tailor in Nevada had a problem. His customers kept ripping the pockets off of their pants. But our boy had an idea, and that idea would explode into a global style revolution, reshaping how millions of people dress, work, rebel, and live even to this day. This isn't just the story of a pair of pants. This is the story of the most iconic garment in human history, a uniform for the working man, a battle flag for the rebel team, a canvas for artists, punks, cowboys, and presidents, worn by miners, worn by models, worn by every damn person that you have ever met, from San Francisco to Texas to Alabama to Tokyo and Milan, worn by guys who built the Hoover Dam, by Bella Hadid, and by dads mowing the lawn in a pair of busted 505s. They're literally everywhere, and because of that, it's easy to forget that they're a relatively recent invention. Jeans are America's most successful export, besides maybe wheat, airplanes, and Young Thug. And they started with a $68 gamble. This is the story of how Levi's took over the world. Chapter 1, Jacob meets Levi. It's 1872. Reno, Nevada is a place of dusty railroads, blasting dynamite, and men burning daylight trying to carve a new world out of rock and grit. Among them, a tailor named Jacob W. Davis. As an immigrant from the then Russian Empire, he's trying to make a living in the American Wild West. He's smart, he's skilled, and he's broke as hell. Me and this guy got a lot in common. Let me tell you what, boy. Jacob's clients are railroad workers, ranch hands, men who destroy their clothes doing hard labor, and they all have the same complaint. Their damn pockets keep falling off. It's such a big problem that it was in the press. This is a quote from a newspaper from back in the day. No other part of clothing is so apt to be torn and ripped as pockets. It is inconvenient and often results in the person losing things.
Journalism's really come a long way.
This is a big problem. We can't make our pants strong enough for the work that is required to build our baby nation. Tailors try everything. Try heavier fabric. They try double stitching the seams, but nothing fixes the problem. Men have not worked this hard in pants before. Up until this point, everyone doing work was doing it in loincloths. Then our boy, Jacob W. Davis, gets an idea. Copper rivets, the kind used to hold horse tack together. So Jacob drives a copper rivet into the corner of a pocket. Then another reinforces the fly. Another reinforces the seams. The result? Nearly indestructible pants. Lightning, lightning, lightning. Been a while since I've done that, but I thought it called for it. And just like that, the world's first riveted trousers are born. His customers love them. Their pants aren't falling apart anymore. And because of that, they sell. But now, he's not just coming up with an idea. Our boy is scaling a business. And Jacob can't afford the $68 it costs to file a patent. That's basically the equivalent of $1,700 today. So, Jacob writes a letter to a man in San Francisco who he buys fabric from. That man's name? Levi Strauss. Now, at this point in time, Levi Strauss is already a successful businessman. But don't get it twisted. The guy earned every inch of it, pun intended. He was one of 7 kids born in Bavaria. I mean, there were more than 7 kids born in Bavaria, but he was one of 7 in his family. He immigrated to New York with his widowed mother at 18. and didn't even speak English. He and his brother hustled in the dry goods trade, selling fabric, tools, whatever they could. Eventually, Levi saw opportunity in the gold rush, as a lot of us did, and headed west to open a San Francisco outpost, becoming one of the most trusted suppliers in town. So when Jacob Davis sent that letter asking for help, Levi read it and was like, you know what? That sounds pretty smart. And I got $68. Let's make it happen. And then Jacob Davis was like, bet. And on May 20th, 1873, the U.S. Patent Office approved patent number 139,121. That's a lot of patents. Our country is innovative as f***. What has England ever invented? Nothing. Except us. Chapter 2. The blueprint is born. Now that these dudes were BFFs, which obviously stands for Business Friends Forever, Jacob and Levi scaled up production. Jacob moved to San Francisco to run the Levi's tailor shop, making the pants, which would eventually become a very robust manufacturing plant that he ended up managing for the rest of his life. It was around this time that our boys decided to switch from a more traditional duck canvas, think Carhartt, to a certain cotton warp-faced twill with dyed vertical threads and undyed weft threads, aka denim. Now, the use of dyed and undyed fabrics is why jeans are darker on the outside and pale on the inside. It's also why they fade like this, because the dyed threads lose their color and the white threads shine through. Now, these early pants were simple but rugged, just like my dad. They had 9-ounce denim from New Hampshire, a single back pocket with the now iconic arcuate stitching, 2 front pockets, including a smaller watch pocket / iPod Nano pocket, copper rivets on the pockets, and crotch, cinch backs, and suspender buttons. Now, these jeans weren't even called jeans. They didn't have that word yet. You know what they called them? Waist overalls. Why did they change that? Waist overalls just rolls off the tongue. Such a beautiful word. Waist overalls. Whatever they were called, they worked. Workers loved them so much that other brands were rubbing their brandy little hands together, waiting to use copper rivets on their pants as soon as the patent expired in 1890. Now, knowing the wonderful idea was about to get smash grabbed by the industry, Levi Strauss & Company started branding the absolute heck out of their jeans to let everyone know, hey, these are Levi Strauss. These are the ones that you've bought before. These are the ones that the pockets don't rip off of. In 1886, they added a leather patch on the back depicting 2 horses pulling a pair of jeans with rope attached to each leg, emphasizing the durability so crucial for workwear. What a funny logo if you think about it. They also started using the 501 label for their jeans for the first time. Now, dude, this was 1890. These are 501s. These pants that I'm wearing in 2025, they're a little low because I've been sitting down, were designed 135 years. Were not even designed, but named 135 years ago. Classic waist overalls. Actually, the 501 name has a very interesting origin, but nobody knows what it is because the records were lost in the 1906 San Francisco earthquake and resulting fires. So they're just called Levi 501s. Levi's had won the hearts of workers, and these little pieces of branding made it easier to identify what were the real Levi's when other rivet jeans hit the market. And not satisfied to lean on its OG idea and branding, Levi's kept innovating. A more affordable pant, the 201, was introduced in 1890. A year later, a second back pocket was added to meet demands of consumers. Imagine a keynote, and it's like 2 pockets. Belt loops were added in 1922 as another move to satisfy the masses. The people were like, hey, guys, we don't wear suspenders anymore. We got these new things. They're called belts. Can we get some hoops to keep our belts on? And they're like, we got you, kings. In 1936, they covered up the rear rivets in response to complaints that they'd scratch saddles, couches, and car seats. That same year, the famous red tab was added for stronger branding. Can we make it more visually stunning? Got you. Levi's was cementing themselves as the workwear denim pants of choice among the laboring class. But they weren't done growing. You think they were done? Nah, bruh. They weren't done yet. They weren't even close to being done. And by the way, we were looking up the origin of the name 501. Some people online said it was a lot number, like from the box that they came in. Other people said it was the pricing code. One guy on a denim forum said that it stood for 5 pockets, 0 pleats, 1 fly. Show me a pair of pants with more than 1 fly, I'll send you a shirt. People love to just say stuff, which brings me to today's sponsor, Ground News. Ground News is a news comparison platform that helps you see how stories are being covered across the political spectrum. Take this story, for example. Environmental Protection Agency moves to repeal finding that allows climate regulation. One headline says, EPA plans to ignore science and stop regulating greenhouse gases. Another headline says, EPA to repeal Obama-era policy plaguing consumers. Now, those are two pretty different takes for the same thing that happened. With Ground News, you can compare how left, right, and center are all framing the same event. So like a third left, a bunch of center, some right. Who owns each of the sources? Like this one is owned by Liberty Media, who also owns F1. You can see how many sources are covering it, over 300 for this one. The biased distribution of those sources. And they have a blind spot feature that shows you stories your side of the aisle might be ignoring. This is a really helpful tool for cutting through all the noise, because remember, it's not really about left and right. It's about top versus bottom. And if you think differently, you're getting played. Don't be a sucker. Check out Ground News with the link below, ground.news/speed, or scan the QR code and subscribe to get 40% off the Vantage plan. Now back to some pants. Chapter 3, from tough guys to cool guys. For a long time, much like your Carhartt or your Dickies, Levi's, they stayed in their lane. All right, jeans were for dudes doing hard work. Farmers, ranchers, factory workers, railroad workers, lumberjacks, and yeah, some miners too. Release the list! But things started changing in the 1930s when wealthy city folk started going to things called dude ranches. Basically, they would leave the comforts of the city to cosplay as cowboys. Can you imagine that? People who live in a big city like LA dressing up like cowboys? I'm glad that's in the past. Levi saw the vision and leaned in with a line called Dude Ranch Duds, which included the 701, the first pair of Levi's jeans made specifically for women. They even sold them in New York City at a time when Levi's only operated in the western half of the country. If the Dude Ranch Duds, which should have been the name of this channel, missed opportunity, but if Dude Ranch Duds lit the spark that nudged Levi's beyond their blue-collar roots, it was Hollywood that turned it into a full-blown explosion. In 1953, Levi's were thrust into the mainstream when a 29-year-old Marlon Brando showed up on screen in The Wild Ones wearing a leather jacket, an off-kilter motorcycle cap, and a pair of Levi's 501s. A few years later, a guy named James Dean would join the party in a little movie I like to call Rebel Without a Cause. Suddenly, jeans were cool. They screamed nonconformity. Cops, teachers, parents, those squares hated jeans, which only served to make matters worse, or better if you're selling jeans, because teenagers loved jeans. They couldn't get enough of them. They loved pissing off their parents. They still do. You don't like these, Mom? Well, you can suck a frickin' egg. Why are you wearing those waist overalls? You look like a farmer. They're not waist overalls, Mom. They're called jeans. Suck an egg. In the late 60s and 70s, hippies would carry the counterculture banner by widely adopting jeans. And those frickin' nerds started drawing on them. But by then, truth be told, jeans already belonged to everybody. Counterculture could have their unique take on jeans, and it has on numerous occasions later, but jeans, at this point, were mainstream. Rebelliousness can only last for so long. And as we've seen time and time again in fields way bigger than fashion, what starts as controversial often becomes conventional, like hip-hop, rock and roll, or acai bowls. Now this is when Levi's really started playing the numbers game. And by the numbers game, I mean naming all their products with numbers. They are the BMW of pants. Now, if you've ever wondered what the numbers on the back of your pants mean, buckle up, because I'm about to tell you. This might be the most useful part of the video. In 1965, they debuted the 351, which featured super slim, trim, masculine fit in pre-shrunk heavyweight denim. Super slim, trim, masculine. This is the Jesse Wood of pants. Then a year later, these would eventually become the 606 with a lower rise. Lower rise means they sit lower on your hips. Sitting somewhere between slim and skinny was the 505, which officially popularized the zipper flap. The 505 was added in 1967, but didn't really start taking off until the 1970s. And despite its history of dressing cowboys and fake cowboys forever, Levi's didn't actually have a bootcut jean until 1969. Cowboy pants were invented the same year that we went to the moon.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
We have ignition sequence start. Engines on 5, 4, 3, 2.
Listen, the Eagle has landed. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
More room was added from the knee down on the 517 so you could fit cowboy boots under them. 1980s brought back a resurgence of the 501s as well as the introduction of the Relax Fit 550 in 1985. Relax Fit 550, that's the James Pumphrey of jeans. Then in the 1990s, they were like, okay, enough with the numbers. These new pants are called silver tabs.
Anything is possible.
Now, silver tabs are when Levi's really started getting baggy. And that's when skateboarders really started wearing them. And that's when the grunge guys started wearing them and the hip hop guys started wearing them. And then in the year 2000, all technology crashed and pants got skinny.
We have less than 2 months now until the year 2000. We are releasing our fourth and final quarterly report on public and private efforts to address the Y2K computer problem.
The year 2000 brought the skinny 511 and the 512 into existence. Now, both of these are kind of stretchy, but the 512 is even skinnier. There was a time when I thought that I would wear skinny jeans forever. And sometimes I look at photos of myself from back then. Like when I was like really young and I started wearing skinny jeans, I looked fucking sick. But then I got fat and I looked ridiculous. I looked like Mike Wazowski. Look at this fucking picture, dude. This guy thinks he's killing it. Jeans obviously aren't just an American phenomenon. I mean, freaking everybody in the entire world has a pair of jeans. They spread globally, and with global spreading, they started picking up new meanings. In the Soviet Union during the Cold War, Western jeans were classified as contraband and sold as a black market luxury item costing 200 rubles, which is about a month's wages to a lot of people. In Europe, they were seen as a more straightforward cultural export, loaded with all the good and the bad that could imply. And in Japan, Well, in Japan, they went absolutely fucking bonkers for jeans. Chapter 4, Japan saves the jeans. By the 1980s, American jeans were a bit of a mess. Mall brands watered them down, trends came and went, and the craftsmanship was fading fast as mass production became the norm. By 2003, Levi's didn't even make any of its jeans in the US anymore. And in 2017, Cone Mills, the last US denim mill, closed for good. Luckily, on the other side of the Pacific Ocean, the Japanese had fallen in love with jeans for decades, and they weren't content to let the fashionable, rugged little pants fall into low-quality mediocrity. And when it comes to craftsmanship, Japan does not f*** around. Starting in the 1970s, Japanese collectors became obsessed with vintage Levi's. They sourced rare 1940s and 50s pairs from the US. If a store had old stock, the clerk loved to see a Japanese dude coming. And once the dude had those jeans, he would study every stitch, every rivet, every little fabric quirk. And when they ran out of originals and couldn't find enough of them, they started making their own to the exact same specifications as the original. Not a take on the original, the exact same. Take Canton Denim, all right? The first brand to make real American jeans in Japan. Tetsuo Oishi started out by bringing in 30,000 pairs of used 501s a month. Then he poured over their construction, made his own prototype, and tried to get denim from Levi's own producer, the famous Cone Mills. He got denied, but instead landed 50 rolls from another historic American mill, Canton Mills, and made his debut with Canton jeans in 1963. Other big players emerged with American-sounding names like Big John, Big Stone, and Edwin. What's an American-sounding name? I don't know, I was just over there, like everyone's named like Edwin. Then in 1973, Japan cracked the code and started making the denim themselves, giving birth to the Osaka Big Five. Studio Darasan, Denime, Ivisu, Full Count, and Warehouse. They didn't just copy old jeans. They resurrected them, using antique shuttle looms, hand dyeing, chain-stitched hems, selvage seams. Japan turned denim into an art form. It preserved denim culture while the US nearly forgot about it. Collectors cataloged and photographed rare Levi's in obsessive detail. Magazines like Lightning published entire issues dedicated to selvage denim. Streetwear giants like Nigo and Hiroshi Fujiwara built insane denim collections. There's a really good YouTube video on Nigo's collection. You should watch it.
これが多分1930年代とか、約100年ぐらい前のやつ。今日俺が着ているのはリーカーボーイ。これボロボロなんですけど、これでだいたい2万ドル以上はするかな。
These guys documented the exact fades of different dye styles and weaves. And Japanese denim didn't just influence niche enthusiasts. By the 2000s, major US and European fashion houses were borrowing Japanese patterns, washes, and fits. Even Levi's uses Japanese denim in its highest-end jeans today. What started as blue-collar necessity was now being auctioned as vintage art. At one point, a Japanese collector got his hands on an 1873 pair of Levi's that had been found at the bottom of a mine in 1969. And they had been bought and sold a few more times before setting a record $100,000 at auction. $100,000 for a pair of ripped up pants that probably had some dead guy's farts in them that we found underground. Those jeans were torn as hell, but you better bet them pockets were still on there. Thank the rivet for making jeans durable, and thank Japan for making them sacred. Chapter 5, the pant that won't die. Jeans aren't just popular, okay? They're unstoppable. Over the past century and a half, denim has survived the Great Depression, multiple world wars, counterculture revolutions, designer fashion, mall brands, the death of mall brands, fast fashion, TikTok trend cycles, jeggings, jorts, and denim dude capris. They've had every cut, every wash, every price point imaginable. They've been worn by every gender, age, income level, and subculture. Baggy, skinny, flare, crop, acid wash, raw, pre-distressed, low-rise, high-rise. You name it, Jack. There's jeans for it. Subcultures adopted and reinterpreted jeans endlessly. Hippies, punks, skaters, rappers. And yet you've still got your tech bros and moms in them too. Tech bros, stay the f*** away from my mom. If most trends die, jeans mutate. Jeans didn't just survive fashion cycles, they became embedded in every single fashion cycle over the past 150 years. And through all of this, you don't need to own Levi's to owe some part of your style to Levi's. Every pair of jeans you own, whether they're Wrangler, Gucci, Jinko, Uniqlo, they borrow from the blueprint laid down by two Jewish immigrants back in 1873. One had the idea. The other was willing to shell out $68 because he believed in it. And look, if you have a good idea, leave it in the comments, and I might just send you $68 for 50% of the company, and you have to name it after me, just like Levi's did. Thank you guys for watching this. I love you. Go to speed.co, get yourself some stuff. Hit that subscribe button. Follow Speed at Speedco. Follow me at James Pumphrey. I love you.